she's cute.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Got a little bit of technical difficulties. If you're listening to the podcast right now, you probably know that we lost our feed online, and that's cool. We appreciate if you are listening to us through the podcast right now. Wonderful and appreciated the fans. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. The reason why we do what we do. 804-447-0601. Hopefully we'll be back online at some point. At this point of the show, we always go and profile a missing and or exploited child. And at this time, we are going to profile China Aaliyah Brown. China Aaliyah Brown is an endangered runaway. Date of birth September 25th, 1996. She has been missing since July 11, 2012. She's 16 years old. She's been missing from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She's a black female. She is 5'6", 132 pounds, with black hair and medium length black hair and brown eyes. She's possible runaway. She may be in the company of adult male, and they may travel from Pittsburgh to South Carolina. If you have seen China Aaliyah Brown, please contact the National Center for Missing and or Exploited Children, or contact them by phone at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678, or missingkids.com. Please bring China Aaliyah Brown home to her family. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're getting ready to move on to the next segment of the show. We're going to have Carlton Banks kind of introduce the next segment of the show, kind of what he likes to call, what do you think about it? Carlton Banks, we saw something go on recently that you wanted to bring to the listeners. What you got, man?
All right. If you go out to the Ain't No Half Stepping fan page, you see that we just recently posted a video from a website. We can't get the name because they're not paying us, but you'll see the name. Nonetheless, there seems to be a new saying going around. You're going to jail now. You're going to jail now. Where bus driver of 22 years experience decides that he's going to get in a fight of words with a young lady. Now, the young lady takes, abruptness to the gentleman, and they go at it back and forth for quite some time. Well, eventually, the young lady decides she wants to hit and spit on the bus driver. At this point, the bus driver says, and I quote, "You're going to jail now. You're going to jail now." Bus driver gets up, decides that he wants to give the young lady an uppercut.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, pretty much. So the young lady catches the uppercut. She takes the blow pretty well. But nonetheless, the whole thing is this. Is it fair for a man to strike a woman at such time when the woman has assaulted the man? Now, again, we showed the video to members of the Ain't No Half Stepping crew on Saturday. Some were upset. Some were like, "No, that's not right." Others were like, "Hey, she deserved it." Whole question is, should a man hit a woman? Now, granted, the young lady spit on the man. She basically, in the court of law, she assaulted him first. That bus driver defended himself, and in so many words, he was wrong from the standpoint of being in uniform and had the safety of passengers on his bus. So, Ruben, quick question. Did you see the video?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Okay. When I was first advised this video, I thought the girl was younger. I thought she was under 18. And at first I was like, no, that's real messed up. You just hit a little kid like that. After seeing the video and getting more information, found out she's, I believe, 22. 25. She knows right from wrong. Now, as much as I'm a big fan of a man should never hit a woman, I'm also a huge fan of a woman should never hit a man. Now, honestly, do I feel like she should have gotten hit? No. However, if you decide that you want to do something crazy and put yourself in a spot with someone who doesn't have the same morals and values of myself, then you get what you get. And I mean, that sucks, but that's how it is.
I'm going to go ahead and jump in and introduce a guest we have with us on the live line. Once again, due to technical difficulties, we are unfortunately not broadcasting live, but we are still continuing on with the show, and you're probably hearing us through the YouTube podcast. But I want to take a moment to introduce the guest that we have has been with us in studio, Jersey City's own DJ Renee Melendez. What's up, girl?
What's up, Marcus? What's up, Big Boo? What's up, Carlton? How you guys doing?
Yo.
Good, Renee.
What's up?
You heard the setup. You saw the video. What's your thoughts?
I agree some with Ruben. I agree some with Carlton. Pretty much, she assaulted him first by spitting on him. I think that's like the lowest form of an insult you could do to anybody. And according to, law, that's assault with bodily fluids. So I agree with Carlton. I also agree with Ruben, too. No, I don't condone a man hitting a woman. In a domestic violence situation within the home or something like that, sometimes it's just better for the guy to just walk away. However, in this instance, I believe, in my opinion, the girl put on a show for the entire bus.
Yes, she did.
She was badgering this bus driver. She was calling him the N-word. She was saying what she was going to have her man come back and do, and she was just popping smack the whole entire time. And this poor guy, although maybe he shouldn't have Mike Tyson'd her, she's popping smack and she spit on the dude and he lost it. And I think that, sometimes we as human beings, we make decisions we're not exactly conscious of at the moment. I think dude just went over the edge and was like, you know what, that's enough. And what's unfortunate is this was a man that seemed like he could have been old enough to be her grandfather.
Oh, yeah, he was. He was old enough to be her grandfather.
It was a serious lack of respect there, not only because it was a public transit worker, but just the fact that this girl had no morals, like Rube said, and the fact that this was an older gentleman. If she was pissed off at whatever he did or he said to her, whatever, she should have said what she had to say and keep it moving. No, she want to put on a show for the entire bus ride for everybody to see. And him hitting her, he laid her out. I mean, for real. He knocked her square off her feet.
Yeah.
Here's
my thing. Here's my thing with the video. Here's my thing with the video. I've seen it. I've watched it a couple of times, and I'm trying to determine which one of them is at fault, him, her, and I'm left with they're both at fault. That's kind of what my end opinion is. She's dead wrong for, first of all, for speaking to him that way. Before she even spat on him, she was already dead wrong because there was no reason for it. There was no reason for it. He didn't come out of his face and speak to her in an inappropriate way. She instigated the entire altercation, right up to the point where she spat on him, which you could kind of see. And then there's different angles. The angle that I saw, you didn't see where she hit him, but there are people who said that she tried to choke him. Now, I also don't believe that you should go to jail for 10 years for stealing $10. Okay, so the fact that he got up and consciously thought about it, you're going to jail now, and he reared back, and they're joking online, calling it the Mortal Kombat punch and all of that kind of stuff. I think he crossed the line. I was raised, you don't put your hands on a woman, and I'm going to stick to that. You don't put your hands on a woman. Now, did she ask for it? Hell yeah, she asked for it. Absolutely. Absolutely, she asked for it. But if you look at them physically, you can see that he's a much bigger person than she is. And he could have restrained her and gotten her out of that bus.
No, he did.
Without doing it the way he did it. And that's what my issue is. Like I said, using the analogy of, you don't go to jail for 10 years for stealing $10. I think he put her in jail for 10 years for stealing $10.
Well, I'll also say this. Even if he were to get, possibly get some possible jail term, go to court, any lawyer would be, temporary insanity. This chick just spit on you. That's the lowest thing you could ever do to somebody without physically assaulting them. And you know what?
No, she assaulted him twice.
Well, I mean,
the spit and the hit.
Yeah, but I'm saying, self-defense, yes. But the biggest thing is she spit on him. You can slap me in the face, But if you spit on me, that's oh my man, you've crossed the boundary.
Right.
You know? And see, I think that he won't get any time because of that reason alone.
No, he won't get any time because he didn't throw the first touch. He didn't touch her first.
I don't think he will either. But when you look at the safety precautions on it, what if this girl has hepatitis?
Exactly.
What if, she was HIV positive. She could have a whole slew of health issues that she may not be aware of. And she spit on this man who just was doing his job and really trying hard to ignore her. Now he's exposed to those same health risks.
Not only is he exposed to those same health risks, but he's exposed to having to defend himself for nonsense. And again, I'm in a situation where I'm really torn because my instinct is you never have a good reason for putting your hands on a woman. And even knowing that she could have exposed him to those things, him punching her like that, it's not like they're engaged in a hand-to-hand combat fight. You know what I mean? Like, she did what she did and then stepped back. He had to think about it. You know what I mean? He had a moment to think about it and say to her, "Oh, you going to jail now?" He got up and he reared back and then he hit her. Like, I don't think that he had to go that route. Now,
he also made a comment in saying that something to the effect like, if you want to act like a man, I'm gonna treat you like a man.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the other thing.
And that was the point where she hit and spat on him. Now, has she just not done any of that? First thing she should have done was sit her butt down in the seat. She put all those passengers at risk outside of him being the driver of the bus. That's the first thing she did wrong. Okay? His job is you tell the passenger to sit down. Sit down. Or probably they had some protocol where you you pull over until the passenger sit down. Okay, maybe he didn't do that portion. But the fact of the matter is, she was wrong for laying hands on him. I know for a fact that whoever touches who first, that's the person that's guilty of assault.
Well, let me ask you this, Renee. We've had a lot of this next phrase that I'm about to use since February with the Trayvon Martin situation. What do we think about the bus driver, quote unquote, standing his ground?
Well, I think that that's tough, because if he was fighting a man, like you said, that might be one thing, and it might have been a fair fight. But again, it was a female, and he shouldn't necessarily hit her or handle her the way he did, but I guess he, like you said, he just momentary lapsed judgment, and he had to stand his ground. However, I just want to retract to one point for a second that, these city transit drivers, they have route supervisors. So at any point when she became unruly during the drive or when she first entered the bus, he could have pulled the bus over and he could have delayed the bus until a transit supervisor or a route supervisor came and the cops were called to get her off too.
Well,
that could have been another method of resolving the issue in a peaceful way where she didn't get knocked out and it may not have even gotten as far as him getting spit on.
I got another angle that I'll ask. I've been hearing a lot about this on some of the shows that I've been listening to today. I'm gonna start with Ruben on this one because he wanted to make another point, so I'm gonna have him make his point and then answer this question. Do you see the bus driver doing that to a white woman?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You said Ruben.
When does color have to always? Why does color have to be an issue?
Well,
it shouldn't be an issue.
Well,
if she did the same thing, he probably would have done the same thing.
Well, the reason why color could potentially be an issue is the fact that you have a lot of people who think that black women are mouthy, and they talk a whole lot of trash. And the fact that she was just running off at the mouth like that made her more susceptible to getting punched in the face.
I don't think a race.
Apparently, Ain't No Half Steppin with Marcus J is back on live. So thank you, everyone who have been trying to get us, and you're still listening to us. We appreciate that. Renee, as a woman, why don't you answer that question?
I honestly don't think a white woman would have acted that way.
Okay.
I really don't. I think that it was, straight up that she was just being mouthy. She was being, ignorant or ratchet, as the young folks would say. And I really don't think that if a white woman had got on the bus and was upset, she'd have just paid her fare and kept it moving. She might not have been happy about it, but it wouldn't have even got that far. I think that it was just a young woman, like Big Group said, with no morals, no standards, and she was just going to show her behind, and that's the way it ended up. But I really don't think a white woman would have done that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't think race really had an issue with it because you've seen everybody act a fool in different circumstances. But let me read you some of the posts that I've seen based off of that video from the women. I'm not going to call out the men yet, but I'm just say the women. Yes, she deserves what she got, even if has to get off the bus. Another person says, I don't care if you are a man or a woman, young or old. You hit another person in anger, you need to expect it in return. Yes, I never saw the vid, but that is true. I do not agree. If some of these women want to act like a man, they should be treated like a man. This is why in some countries the driver is caged off, could never lay a hand on someone who you are allowing your life to be in the hands of. Another woman says self-defense is self-defense, but the verbal exchange should have ended way before it escalated to physical contact. Another female, at first I had mixed feelings about it, but then I thought about it. Everyone has the right to defend themselves from a potential threat, whether young or old, male or female. It's not like he could have walked away. He was doing his job. She was clearly invading his personal space. Words were just words until she assaulted him first. Bottom line, she got what she deserved. Another female, yes, you can hit a woman. You have the right to defend yourself, though in this case, before it came to blows, the driver should have booted her off from the bus. The driver needs his ability to focus safely on the roads. Where I live on the buses, one of the buses I usually ride, what happened? Sorry about that. The bus driver got shot. So, that was something right there. Another woman said the man didn't feel threatened. He wasn't defending himself. He deserves to be fired. Violence is not okay. I think no for hitting. A little restraint until someone can remove her is okay. Violence isn't okay. I don't condone violence. However, I do believe in defending oneself against any harm. The driver had an obligation to keep himself and the other rather safe. I think naturally his instincts kicked in. He went into fight mode. Yeah, he could have ignored her, but that doesn't mean the situation would have ended any differently. These are women saying this. She was drunk and acting unruly in this case. The driver had to do what was necessary to protect himself and the other passenger. It's not cool to hit a woman, but some women don't know when to keep it quiet and keep it moving. Again, another woman. No discrimination when handing out ass whoopings. Another woman. These are women saying this, not men.
All right, we're gonna. I think we kind of made the point, Big Rube. The last thing I'll have on this one, and Renee, we're gonna have you back later on the show. We're gonna end it there. We're gonna have you back later on in the show for another segment, Big Rube. My thought is, you want to act like a man, you're gonna get treated like one. It's really that simple. Do I condone him Mortal Kombat punching her like that? No, I don't. But I understand. Big Rube.
I mean, I think it's more of a Street Fighter move. But my question is, and this is going to be devil's advocate, not that we believe or not believe, but when does this rule about never hitting women become not a rule? I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm a man and I don't believe in hitting women. But you know what? Unfortunately, there are some women out there who will use that quote-unquote unsaid rule against you. So I guess the question to me is, the question to you is, really, is that a rule, number one? And why is that a rule? Because when it's all said and done, we're all people. And I'm not saying that he should have hit her, and I'm not saying she should have sped on him, but I understand why he high-yuking her. But the point is, when is that, where's that line drawn at? Where, okay, you can't hit a woman, I mean, because real talk is you're going to hit a woman regardless. If a woman decides, like you said, put herself in a place where she shouldn't be, some dudes will hit her. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just basically saying it happens. And that line how forever long or short it is, I think that line needs to stop being played because one day somebody's really gonna get broke up.
And you know how Steppin, Marcus J. We're gonna leave it there. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, we got April P on the line. We're gonna talk about the Stacey Dash comment that came out last week. Marcus J. and I'll have Steppy be back in a minute.
Hey, this is Lady D with NYPD. You're listening to Ain't No Half Step with my boy, my main man, my Jersey homie, Marcus J.